This has been a Loree McBride Jesuit insanity day. I went downstairs to pay my rent, and I usually bring my old air filter with me. And when I got to the rental office, I read the notes on the door that he had taped on the inside of his window. It said, "Please do your business quickly. Stay 10 feet away from anybody inside, and just go in and out, and that's it." So I thought, okay, I get that's cool. Even though I think this is all overboard, I said, Jesus said you need to respect people's fears about it, because if not, it could turn dangerous. So I went in there determined to do my business quickly. The apartment manager was on the phone. He looked at me real flustered, like, "Oh, no, 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 you're not supposed to come in. There's a note on the door saying you're not supposed to be in here." And so I dropped my rent on the desk, and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. When I must have misunderstood what I read on the door. I didn't see that." I said, "I read what was on the door, but I must have misunderstood what was on there." And then I quickly noticed they had the air filter I need, and I just got out of there. And then I went outside and I looked and reread what was on the door. It didn't say anything about you couldn't go inside. It said stay 10 feet away from anybody, do your business quickly, and then get out, um, and so I came home, put in the new AC filter, and then I thought, you know what? I need to go back and take a picture of that door, because I know, I said, this is weird. This is a Jesuit thing going on here. So I went outside and I took a picture of the door, and the message had changed. This was only like 5 minutes later. The message had changed. Now it said what you saw at the beginning of this video. So I emailed my man and I said, "Man, you need to investigate." And what was really strange is when I first came down there was a very muscular looking blonde. I mean, she had thighs that were so thick, they were as thick as a man. She was doing squats in front of the building right across the street. And I thought, boy, that's weird. And anyways, I sent my men an email about it. So I came inside and I watched I looked at the picture that I took of the door, and I thought, wow, it changed. So I thought, wow, I'm not going to be able to pay my rent now unless I have a mask. So what did I do? I took out my sewing machine out and made me a mask. I went to the CDC website and followed their guidelines. This is cotton material. I have 2 pieces of fabric here. And I got my sewing machine out and I sewed me a mask. I knew I might have to do this if things get really crazy. So I can just put it over my ears like this. Oops. Like that. Oh, come on. This is a pain in the neck to have to wear, I think one side is longer than the other. I'm not sure. Anyways, when I go shopping, this is what I'll have. I sewed it myself. Oh, I think this is all overboard. This is the Loree McBride insanity that we have now in the world. Loree McBride insanity. That's what this is. So this is what I sewed myself. I just made it this afternoon. It was a pain in the butt too, brother. Pain in the butt. I followed the CDC guidelines, except I didn't like their pattern, because being a seamstress myself, the way she had them sew it, it wouldn't last more than a couple washes. So I wanted something that I could use again and again, and if I needed. So I actually did a French seam along the side here to make it last. See, so this is going to last. Yeah. And then I happen to have some elastic, 1/4-inch elastic, so this is what I'm going to wear. I'm going to have to, or I'm not going to be able to pay my rent. And Jesus said I'm not allowed to spend anything but food and bills. I have this mask here, but this is for chemicals. My men gave this to me in 2013 when a lot of the obese women were letting out the farts, that can cause mental retardation, though I've never wore. I can't see myself wearing this in public, even now. It's like, oh my God. If I wear this thing, I look like a Martian from outer space, you know? So I'm not wearing any makeup because I don't want to get it on the white mask here. But this is going to be machine washable. It's made out of cotton. This is actually from cotton bedding, which is what the CDC recommended. But I'm not going to wear makeup, obviously, when I wear that because I don't want to get foundation and everything all over it. So I've been getting some really interesting reactions. I really do believe that my Bible for Tribulation Saints has been added to the canon. And the reason for that is because of the insanity that I'm dealing with right now. Apparently, Satan is in a panic. He's in a panic because Jesus has added Bible for Tribulation Saints to the canon, which means Satan's agents like Loree McBride, my sister Sandra Metcalf, my mother, David Schuler, they're all being exposed as Loree McBride Jesuit agents. And Satan's getting his butt exposed, so he doesn't like it. Also, I've noticed there are a lot of people are protesting about, they think the government is, some of their government's governors are going overboard, and they are. It's become draconian. It's Jesus, I have a web page where Jesus stated his opinion about the coronavirus. It's it's different than what the Loree McBride political agents are saying on mainstream news. I'll say that much. I'll have a link to that underneath this video. So, but Jesus did say that even though people have lost their common sense nowadays, he said you do need to respect everybody's fears about it or they could become dangerous. So he said it's wise to respect people's fears about the coronavirus, and that's why I made this. I think Loree McBride is trying to make it so I can't pay my rent. So this is it. I basically made that so I can pay my rent. I was able to do it for May, but geez, she's insane. She's insane. There have been a lot of Jesuit disinformation agents who've been making comments underneath a lot of my videos. And I think most of you are smart enough to know that these are Jesuit disinformation agents. They're saying crazy things like, you're a clone. I'm half King David. I'm King David, Catherine the Great. I cannot be cloned. Any clones they make of me don't last longer than a week. They just don't work. That's the bomb she's dropping over my head. I don't have the coronavirus. So they're saying all sorts of crazy things. So I'm just going to warn you. My men would never try to contact me nowadays through the comments underneath any of my YouTube videos because there are just too many Jesuits there. We already have a private email communication. If they need to contact me, they'll either do it through Skype or they will do it through email. And I don't use, and the email that I use with them is not the public email that I give you all out if you want to give me like some financial help through my PayPal. So it's just really, really crazy out there right now. Really crazy. I mean, I couldn't believe what happened at my apartment manager's office today. It's like, wow. And why did he switch out the notes on me? Like, first time I go there, it says one thing, and I go inside his office, and he treats me like I'm some sort of a Borg monster from the other realm. I thought, oh my God, man. Loree has got everybody insane. Insane, man. It's the insane asylum run by the inmates. So anyways, Jesus said to respect everybody's fears. So I spent all this afternoon doing this. This is Loree McBride Insanity. It's made out of cloth material. It's washable. It'll probably, I'm not sure that the chemical mask that my men gave for me would take out viruses. It was designed to take out chemicals. So plus I want this is washable. I want something I could wash. So that'll work. This is just crazy. But the thing is, I made a web page because I do believe, I think some of the reason, one of the, ignore that, that's probably Trump. I think one of the reasons that people are protesting is because Bible for Tribulation Saints has been added to the biblical canon and people are reading it. And I think my men have updated it with um, the latest that Jesus has said to us for the past 2 months. And Jesus has commented about Loree McBride's, let's call it a, what Loree McBride is doing with Corona. And he's he's telling everybody that this is a Loree McBride pandemic, that she basically wants everybody on house arrest. That's what Brent Spiner says, and Brent Spiner's doctor, and that people are just not being, they've lost their common sense about this. And, some of the governors and stuff are really going overboard, and some people have been protesting, non-violent protesting, which is the smart way to do it. You don't want to get violent. And because of that, I was thinking the timing of these protests is kind of interesting. It seems to be happening right at the time that Jesus added Bible for Tribulation Saints to the canon. So what I think is happening is people are reading Bible for Tribulation Saints. They're reading Jesus's opinion about COVID-19, and that may be why the protests had started. I will let you read what Jesus, I'll let you read it. I'll have a link to that underneath this video. You can read what Jesus said about Loree McBride's coronavirus. Yeah, she created this thing. And then you can decide for yourself who you believe, Jesus or everybody else. Oh, no makeup. I don't like wearing that mask with makeup because it's white, So I am definitely half King David. And I don't think these people commenting, it makes sense. If Jesus has really added Bible for Tribulation Saints to the canon, it makes sense that Satan's followers would be in a panic right now, because that means Satan's getting his dirty butt exposed along with his top agents like Loree McBride, the Brent Spiner clone. My sister Sandra Metcalf is a Loree McBride Jesuit. And all these people are getting their dirty butts exposed. And that means Satan's going to lose. Of course, we know he's going to lose. Because even though he is going to have an antichrist in the tribulation, and we're not in the tribulation yet, I've always known that I was special in God's plan, though I couldn't figure out why, because I didn't think I was any better than most people out there. But as I stated in this page that I created, I remember back in 1994, well, Brent Spiner called me on the phone and talked to me 1991, 1992, 1993. I heard his voice on the phone. He made love to me on the phone. And then the Jesuits made my son really sick, so I had to take him to the hospital. He had asthma, borderline pneumonia. It just came on really, really fast. That's how Jesuits are. And I brought him to the doctor's office, and the doctor said, you should have brought him to the emergency room. He's got serious breathing issues. So I didn't, it just happened so fast. I didn't know. So I brought him to the Seattle Children's Hospital. This was in July 1993. And they were concerned that, and I had to drive out there to see my son while they admitted him in there and put him on breathing stuff, so he could breathe, and ventilators and all that. Yeah, Jesuits seem to love to put people on ventilators. They're doing so. They did this to my son. They put an allergen in the air, something that he was really allergic to, and within 5 minutes he went from perfect breathing to life-threatening breathing. And that, because it happened so fast, I thought it was okay to take him to the doctor's office. Jesuit maladies are weird. So I ended up taking him to the hospital. They were concerned that the female pediatrician was concerned that I didn't bring him to the ER right away or use an ambulance. But it happened so fast. And so she said, I want you to go see a social worker. And because you seem to be under stress and you're not able to take care of your son properly. So I went to see this guy named Jordan Friedman. And while I was there, he tricked me. I put my guard down around him, and I admitted that I was a little stressed because Brent Spiner hadn't called me that week. Brent Spiner used to call me every week, usually with wrong numbers on the phone, with Gates McFadden or LeVar Burton would get on the phone, and I'd hear them, and then they would hang up, and I'd know it was Brent just saying hi. That he was letting me know he was reading my letters and just saying hi. At this point, I mentioned to Jordan Friedman, the social worker, I said, well, I am a little stressed because Brent Spiner, who normally calls me, isn't calling me this week. So I was just confused why. I was wondering if everything's okay. And I did admit to him that Brent was very special to me. And I admitted that he was the one who played Data in Star Trek: The Next Generation. And I said, I told him I'd only talk about this if you promised to keep it confidential. Well, he lied. He didn't keep it confidential. He wrote a big, long report about it, said I was this crazy lady who believed that I had a Star Trek star in my life. And about 7 or 8 months later, that got filed with our health insurance. My husband read it, and he went into a rage. This was because my son was in the hospital, and he ordered me to give him Brent Spiner's address, and he wrote a nasty letter to Brent Spiner saying, you are not to go to contact, if I'm going to give you bad press, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, oh, my God. And he said, if you don't give me Brent's address, I'll divorce you. So I was stuck. So as a result of that letter that my husband wrote to Brent, though, that's why we got the FedEx letter I'd say about 2 months later. Well, what had happened was my husband ordered me not to write Paramount anymore and to write Brent anymore. So I said, okay, I won't. And I didn't write Brent. I wrote Gates McFadden, and I knew she would forward the letters to Brent. Well, Loree McBride was not happy when she found out I was still writing Brent. And so she had her female attorney write me and my husband that FedEx letter accusing me of harassment because of what my husband did. My husband, because of that nasty letter my husband wrote that I was forced to write under threat of divorce. And she ordered us to never contact Paramount Studios again. The Paramount attorney, she claimed to be to be a representative of Brent, though Brent didn't sign the letter. I did notice that. It was only signed by the female attorney. And what happened was, I thought, oh, Jesus, here I have committed long-distance adultery with Brent Spiner because I thought he was a great guy, and I wanted to have a long-distance friendship with him, even though I know that I find him attractive and everything, but you seem to say he was part of your plan for my life, and now I get this. I said, oh, Lord, I should have never, ever encouraged Brent at all when he called me on the phone. I'm such an adulterous, bad woman, and I've sinned against you. And I prayed when I got that FedEx letter, I said, Lord, I promise you I'll never, ever write Paramount ever again. I'm so sorry I committed adultery. I sinned against you. Please forgive me. For 3 hours. And I said, and you know what I did? I got that FedEx letter, and I went out to the dumpster, and I threw it in the trash. And I said, I will never, ever contact or write Brent ever again. She says, I was thinking that Brent was a coward who called me on the phone and I believed it was Brent. He called me on the phone and made love to me, but he didn't have the courage to stand by me when everything was against me. But though I did notice he didn't sign that letter. So I prayed for 3 hours. 12 hours later, the Northridge earthquake hit Hollywood. Yeah, and I read in the paper that the only people who died who worked for Hollywood worked for Paramount Studios. It was a Paramount Studios woman attorney who sent me that letter. I thought, oh my God, Jesus, I can't believe you answered my prayer this way. It was like Jesus was saying, Gail, I approve of your love for Brent. what happened with that FedEx letter was an emissary of Satan. It wasn't me. He said, you haven't done anything wrong. When that earthquake happened, it was like Jesus was saying, Gail, 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 you got the message right in 1992 when Brent gave you that 3 weeks of silence, and I told you through the funeral of the little girl that Brent was part of my plan for your life. Gail, you got it right. Don't let Satan make you doubt. That's why he sent the earthquake. It was like Jesus was sending the earthquake to let the whole world know what he thought about Loree McBride and her woman attorney who sent me that FedEx letter. And I thought, my God, Jesus, an earthquake? I said, I'm not that spiritual that I should pray down an earthquake. I was kind of puzzled, but I thought, wow, I must be some favorite with God or something, that the answer to my 3-hour prayer asking him to forgive me for my sin of adulterous long-distance love with Brent was an earthquake. It was like Jesus was saying, Gail, it's cool, man. You're on my plan. I want you to be friends with Brent. Your husband. And I didn't know about Loree McBride then, but Jesus knew about her. And that's why he sent the earthquake. That was his statement against Loree McBride. That wasn't the only earthquake that happened in my life, which is rather interesting. You may say, why are you saying this? Well, Jesus, back in 1994, when he sent that earthquake, he knew that in 2020, I would be adding to the biblical canon, along with Brent Spiner, because we are the two authors of Bible for Tribulation Saints. So yeah, he sent that earthquake in answer to my 3-hour prayer to let the whole world know that I'm his favorite and that Satan was picking on me and he didn't like it. Satan in the form of Loree McBride. And then when I figured out that Loree was a Vatican agent, you know how I figured it out? It was like 2 a.m. and I was getting really spooked out because these doctors were telling me I might have breast cancer. And they seemed really creepy, like they were Jesuits, like they were trying to freak me out and get me to get all. Satan likes to do that. He likes to get you to panic, to think that Jesus doesn't care about you. And he likes you to make stupid decisions because you go insane. You lose your mind. That's what he's doing with this coronavirus stuff. And at 2 a.m, I heard a still small voice in my mind saying, your enemy is the Roman Catholic Church. Loree McBride is a Vatican agent. And I thought, oh, that was Jesus talking to me. He doesn't do that anymore. But that was, I heard a distinct thought to my mind. I got on my wiretap phone because Brent Spiner had a wiretap on my phone. And I said, oh, Brent, I just found out Jesus just told me in prayer that Loree McBride's a Vatican agent, and I didn't understand how horrible she's been to you, and now that it all makes sense. See, I had read Jack Chick's book, Smokescreens, and I knew the Vatican was very powerful. I thought, oh, it explains everything. I'm so sorry. I told you I quit dreaming about making love to you when I found out about her, and I thought you were a coward, and you're not a coward. I'm so sorry. I apologize for all the bad things I said to you on the phone. I reinstate you into my heart, and I am going to divorce my husband, and I'm going to marry you. And I stuck to it. When I made that decision, all hell broke loose. Oh my God. It's like, it was terrible, man. They started contaminating all my prescription drugs. I mean, I would go to the store and my food would be poisoned. And it was horrible. All of a sudden, my allergies got really, really bad. And it just went insane. About a month later, I went on the wiretap phone and I said, Brent, you need to expose this Loree McBride. She is really getting out of hand. You need to go on Los Angeles News and let everybody know she is a Vatican agent. Well, I think this was January 2000. The Lord told me she was a Vatican agent in December 99. January 2000. And the next day, an Alaska Airlines jet crashed head first off of Port Hueneme, California. I think Brent planned that day to go to the LA News and expose Loree McBride as a Vatican agent. And the next day, that Alaska Airlines jet crashed headfirst into the Pacific Ocean. The Jesuits did that to eclipse Brent Spiner exposing Loree McBride. I'm sure Brent heard about that and he thought, well, looks like I'm not going to be able to expose Loree McBride in the news today because who's going to listen to me when when the news on the West Coast is all about this airplane crash that just happened? Yes, that's right. The Jesuits crashed a jet just to eclipse any possible news coverage of Brent Spiner exposing Loree McBride as a Vatican agent on LA News. Apparently, Brent was planning on doing it, and the Jesuits would make sure that anything he said would be eclipsed by coverage of the airplane crash. Yeah. So now let's go back to the second earthquake. So I decided to divorce my husband. I wasn't able to serve him the papers till August 2000. Talk about the most expensive divorce in history. I started figuring out, wow, not only is Loree a Jesuit agent, so is my husband. I figured it out. When the divorce happened, oh, he was dirty. He was nasty. Oh, and during the divorce, the Lord made a statement about how he felt about my husband, my Jesuit husband. On Ash Wednesday in 2001, in the middle of our divorce trial, which was getting really David was forcing me and my son to go to a clinical psychologist. He was trying to prove I was insane. He dragged Brent into the divorce case. I didn't even want Brent to be in the divorce case. I tried so hard to keep Brent out of it. But David insisted. He kept dragging Brent in every chance he could, saying, my wife thinks she has a relationship with Brent Spiner. She's clinically insane. Therefore, she's not allowed to have custody of our son. Yeah. Well, my husband was a secret pedophile. Yeah. And so while all this wicked stuff was going on, trying to keep me from getting custody of my own son, on Ash Wednesday, 2001, what was really funny is during the divorce trial, we had a mild earthquake in Seattle that caused my son to fall out of bed, and it got his neck to get a little out of alignment, so I took him to a chiropractor. And my husband brought that up and said, see, my wife claims that my son fell out of bed because of an earthquake and had to go see the chiropractor. She's crazy. We don't have earthquakes in Seattle. This was before the Ash Wednesday earthquake. And normally we didn't. Seattle's better than Los Angeles. It doesn't get as many tremors like Southern California. I lived in Southern California in 1971, so I remember. So, tremors are like a way of life in California. Washington's a little bit better, Washington State. So we got this Ash Wednesday earthquake. What a shocker, man. I remember I was in my apartment. All of a sudden, everything was swaying. I'm from Florida, I'd never been in an earthquake. I ran down the stairwell. The absolutely wrong thing to do. What you're supposed to do in an earthquake, I'll learn about this later. I did research after. You should go under a table, cover your head, never go down a stairwell. But Jesus had me covered. So I went down the stairwell. And you know what? The news reported that we had catastrophic damage. Buildings were collapsed all over Seattle. It was catastrophic damage, but nobody died in that earthquake. And I didn't suffer any damage because of that earthquake. I was in Mukilteo, and the earthquake happened at the southern end of Los Angeles. Not Los Angeles, Seattle. Jesus sent that earthquake to let everybody know what he thought about my Jesuit husband, David Schuler, and how he was conducting that divorce trial. Yeah. I asked Jesus about it later. I said, hey, Jesus, did you send that earthquake? Was I the reason that nobody died? He said, yep, that's right, Gail. You're the reason nobody died. That'll be in Bible for Tribulation Saints. So, if anybody's trying to claim I'm a Jesuit and that I don't have King David genes and that I'm not Jesus's favorite, then why does Jesus answer my prayer with earthquakes? I got to be a pretty important person in God's plan that he sends earthquakes down as signs that revolve around me. Huh? And I am literally half King David. And I'll have a link underneath this video on how the Lord showed that to me. It's rather interesting. The Lord told me I was half King David before my men told me brain to brain. So all I can say is, um, who are you going to believe? The Jesuit disinformation agents underneath my videos, or believe me when I tell you that I'm half King David? Besides, if I was a Jesuit, you you uh you Jesuit disinformation agents that comment underneath my video, if I was a Jesuit, why in the world would I uh be against Loree McBride? Huh? And Loree McBride is pretty wicked. If I was a Jesuit, why would I be trying to expose her? No, I'm obviously on Jesus Christ's side. And I am they can't clone me, by the way. That's one reason Loree finds me such a threat. I think I'm the only person on earth that she cannot clone. If there's something special about King David genes, those are Jesus Christ genes. King David genes cannot be cloned in a human. I believe I am the only person alive that is literally half King David right now. There are other people out there with King David genes, but they can be cloned, or they can be partially. You can make a good look-alike with them, but I am literally half King David. You may say that's impossible. That's impossible. Well, with God, everything's possible. And since it's pretty obvious that I'm a Bible writer and that I have prayed down earthquakes, all I can say is, you guys, I think I'm gonna go up in the rapture. And you people that don't believe in God and that laugh at me and say that I'm crazy, I'll be waving at you when I go up. I've read the Bible from cover to cover hundreds of times. I am a woman after God's own heart. And if you want to follow God, you need to follow me. That's what Jesus told me to tell you all. Don't listen to these evil Satan worshipers who claim that they're against Loree McBride. Don't listen to them. And yeah, I don't know what's going. Satan's got everybody in the whole world. She has Antichrist power, so we can't kill her. You can't kill the Antichrist. Check out the links underneath this video, and you decide for yourself. If you're an honest truth seeker, you'll know that I'm the real deal, that I am half King David. You know, it makes sense if I'm really half King. I mean, these people, I don't think you're fooling most people, you Jesuits commenting under my video. I don't think you're fooling most people. And the only people who pretend like they believe you are probably your fellow Jesuits. I think we're exposing Loree McBride's dirty butts with Bible for Tribulation Saints. It's been added to the canon. Satan is having a nervous breakdown because of that. I am literally half King David, and as proof of that, I have prayed down earthquakes. Yeah. I've been targeted since my birth. You know, I almost died my first month of birth because of my King David genes. The Jesuits gave me an allergy to my mother's formula, and I almost died. Satan has targeted me since my birth. Did you know the Cold War was started because of me? That's what my men have found out. Because of me. Anyways, I'm certain that anybody who believes these Jesuit disinformation agents who are commenting underneath my video is a lying Jesuit. I don't think anybody who's in their right mind and who's got even baby emotional IQ believe you lying Jesuit cruds that are claiming that I'm lying about being half King David. You know, all I can say is, you know, that would be the same as saying that God's lying that he created the earth in 6 days. or God's lying that he sent a flood over the entire planet that drowned everybody out except Noah and his family. So who are you going to believe? You're going to believe God or you're going to believe the devil? Those are your choices.